Okay, we are live. Please proceed.
Sally, thank you very much. We're now back in public section. I would like to take up our action items directly in the full board meeting if there are no objections. So with that, I would ask Tony Wagner if you would proceed with your fees proposal. Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Doug, if you would pull up the student fee proposal for FY21 presentation, please. And that looks like the last slide. We'll get there shortly. If you could go to the beginning of the deck, please. Thank you. Okay, advance to the next slide. The administration recommends the following rates. As you will recall, we did a tuition and mandatory fee approval at the April board meeting, and I will show all of that as part of our cost attendance on the next slide, but we did not approve housing and dining rates at that time, and there are several E&G academic fees that we did not approve, so that's what we will touch on today. With respect to housing and dining, these rates are lower than the rates that were previously posted. We post rates in the fall for returning students and for incoming students. And these rates are lower. For respect to first year students, we are proposing a 0 increase from last year. For bridge students, a 0% increase from last year. The posted rates were in the 2.5% to 3% range. For continuing students, we are recommending the rate that was posted in the fall, 3.7%, and we are recommending a rate of 2.3% for dining, which is lower than the posted rate, which was 4%. As you know, given the decision that was made earlier this week, we will be doing some crediting on our bills. The way that's going to work is, and it's due to financial aid requirements, the full amount of the housing and dining fees will be reflected on the bills. That's important because of financial aid. However, the bills will also be adjusted and reflect a loss of the services for the delayed in person. And so for housing, that will be a 29% credit, and for dining, that will be a 29% credit. The university is also not passing along a significant amount of COVID-related revenue shortfalls and extraordinary expenses that the university will absorb because of the nature of the pandemic. Next slide, please. Once again, from a cost of attendance, in April, you approved a tuition and mandatory fee increase of 0%, and that was true for both in-state and out-of-state students. You approved course and lab fees of 0%. And then once again, the housing 0% for freshmen and bridge students. That's what we're recommending today, 3.71% for returning. And we are not passing along a significant one-time COVID expense that will be absorbed in our housing operation. With respect to dining, once again, 2.3% for all meal plans. And we are not passing along significant one-time COVID expenses with respect to our dining. The 2.3% is essentially the CPI for food, and that is the only expense that we are trying to recoup. Next slide, please. If you look at our peer comparisons for resident hall rates, you can see Clemson continues to be in the middle of our peers. Next slide, please. And if you break that down, our suite rates, Clemson is in the middle of the pack. You can see those schools, NC State, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, and UNC that are all higher. Next slide, please. Our apartment rates, Clemson is in the middle of the pack once again. And next slide, please. And with respect to our meal plans, and that's where we've tried to maintain sort of that middle ground with our peer institutions, and this year's recommendations will continue to accomplish that. Next slide, please. We have several E&G fees, and I know the provost can also speak to these if you have any questions, or Bob, certainly if you want to add anything. These top two fees are budget neutral. Basically, there's a doctorate of education fee. We want to establish one fee at $424 per credit hour for all programs rather than currently there are 6 current rates. This will be budget neutral. They feel that this is just a much better way to market their programs to the public, to have one rate. And with respect to a master's of data science and analytics, they're decreasing the sticker price from $51,000 to $37,920. Once again, budget neutral. They will just be doing a lot less discounting in that program. There are several, we are requesting several optional opt-in E&G fees. Or one opt-in E&G fee. This is the Clemson University Spectrum program. It's designed to provide support and services to neurodiverse Clemson students. It's an opt-in fee request of $3,000 per student. And this fee was reviewed by the Student Fee Committee without objection. This is a program that was piloted last year. It had a small number of students in it, but there is a growing demand for these services. And so we are beginning to ramp up this opportunity for neurodiverse Clemson students. Next slide, please. And those are the fee requests that we did not do when we did the tuition and mandatory academic fees in April. And so the administration respectfully requests approval. And we do have the FY21 fee schedule appendix attached to the board package.
Tony, thank you very much. You've heard the request of the administration to approve the housing and dining rates and the academic fee schedule, both found in your board books, and to delegate to the administration the authority to set parking fees and fines. I will note the housing and dining fees are consistent with what was published at the beginning of the academic year. Do I have a motion to approve this request?
So moved. Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill Smith. Any further discussion? Sally, would you please do a roll call vote for us?
Trustee Dukes.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Lynn.
Yes.
Trustee Maccabee.
Yes.
Trustee McCarter.
Yes.
Trustee McKissick.
Yes.
Trustee Peeler.
Yes.
Trustee Phyfer.
Yes.
Trustee Richardson.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Swann.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkins.
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed.
Thank you very much. The motion passes. Sally, I know you'll record the number of those in favor. Thank you very much. Our next agenda item is the Dunlap property. Tony, would you please summarize this action for us?
Yes, sir. The Dunlap property is the property in Blowing Rock, North Carolina. So the action that is requested, and Doug, there is a picture of this property. If you go to the presentation, I believe you have that, Doug, that you could put up in the screen. It's a Google map. But the approval is requested for the university to acquire an estate gift in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, and then immediately transfer the property to the Clemson University Real Estate Foundation for the property to be placed on the market for sale. And this parcel is vacant, and it's just over an acre. This is an unusual situation where probate for the estate has already closed and the property was deeded to the university prior to the university going through the state approval process to accept the property. The university is now conducting the appropriate required investigative studies to get state approval for the acquisition. Along with the approval of the acquisition, the university is also requesting approval to transfer the property to its related organization, which is the Real Estate Foundation. which was established to accept gifts of real property. Curiff will then sell the property with proceeds to be used to support Clemson University. The acquisition and disposition cost is zero, and we request approval.
Tony, thank you very much. What another wonderful example of the generosity of the Clemson family. You've heard the request of the administration to acquire and dispose of the Dunlap property as described in our board book. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Thank you very much. Sally, will you please do a roll call vote for us?
Will you allow a question, Mr. Chairman?
Please, Trustee Swann.
You didn't say this, Tony, but I assume we've already made sure that there's nothing previously buried on the property and there's no chemicals or never was a gas station there with a tank under the ground.
Yeah, Joe, great question. And I did allude to that. We are in the process of doing the required studies to go through the state approval process for the acquisition. Unfortunately, this property went through probate without us knowing about it, and it was deeded to the university prior to us being able to do all of those studies. So we still have to go through the state approval process, and in that process, we will do all the environmental studies that you would expect.
Before it becomes our ownership and responsibility and what have you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Swann. Any other questions, comments? Sally, please conduct a roll call vote for us.
Trustee Dukes.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Lynn.
Yes.
Trustee McAbee.
Yes.
Trustee McCarter.
Yes.
Trustee McKissick.
Yes.
Trustee Peeler.
Yes.
Trustee Phyfer. Trustee
Yes.
Phyfer. Trustee
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Swann.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkins.
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed.
Thank you very much, Sally. Our next agenda item is the acquisition of a right-of-way from Pickens County. Tony, please summarize this action for us.
Yes, sir. So the action that we are requesting is to pursue the acquisition of approximately 0.65 acres of a former road right-of-way adjacent to Clemson's campus from Pickens County at no cost. The proposed acquisition is located adjacent to property that the university owns at the intersection of Perimeter Road and Highway 93. As you know, that's a gravel lot right by the dike, just down the street from the SO Club. The university has been maintaining this property as it is adjacent to our property for many years, and we have recently started to work with Pickens County to have this the assignment of this right-of-way to the university. This makes sense because it is adjacent to the university, and we have been maintaining it. Pickens County Council. Additionally, this will require that Pickens County Council pass an ordinance relinquishing its claim to the right-of-way before the university can take the proposed acquisition through the state process. As I mentioned, this is 0.65 acres. It's adjacent to the university. We have been maintaining it, and we are working with Pickens County to have them relinquish it, and the acquisition cost is zero.
Tony, thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Sally, will you conduct another roll call vote for us, please?
Trustee Dukes.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Lynn.
Yes.
Trustee McAbee.
Yes.
Trustee McCarter.
Yes.
Trustee McKissick.
Yes.
Trustee Peeler.
Yes.
Trustee Phyfer.
Yes.
Trustee Richardson.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Swann.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkins.
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed.
Sally, thank you very much. Motion passes. Next on our agenda is our president's report. President Clements, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's nice to be with you all this morning, even if it is via Zoom. And I do look forward to the day when we can see each other again in person. Thank you to this board for your continued leadership throughout this pandemic. And thank you to my executive leadership team and the Emergency Operations Center for their very hard work. We've all been running nonstop, trying to make a ton of decisions on some very complex issues as we work towards reopening for the fall semester. As you know, we made a decision this week to start the semester on time, but to delay in-person classes by 4 weeks due to the continued progression of COVID-19 in our state and in the region. This decision was based on data and science and widely respected epidemiology and mathematical models, which predicted a significant number of COVID cases on our campus if we conducted in-person classes and move in as scheduled in mid-August. We did not make this decision lightly. Note that we will open on time, just online for the first couple weeks, and we fully intend and plan to have our students back on the campus after Labor Day. This decision was based on the best interest of our students, faculty, staff, and our communities. We engaged top national public health experts who had been advising us for the past 6 weeks or so. We are tracking the national data as well as the state and local data, and we are looking at what other universities are doing as well. Our faculty have been helping by modeling the disease and by running simulations on the potential spread of the virus, and they have been performing wastewater tests to measure the prevalence of the virus in the community. I'm truly thankful for the amazing colleagues that we have at our university. I've also been involved in high-level discussions and decisions at the national level as well, through my involvement in the ACC Council of Presidents and organizations such as the American Council on Education and the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities. While we hoped to return to in-person activities as planned in August, we are confident that a revised approach gives us the best possible chance and the safest chance to successfully have in-person and on-campus fall semester as we plan. I do have a bit of good news to share as it relates to the pandemic. A market researcher at New York University who closely studies the operating models of universities is leading a team that is analyzing how different schools are likely to be affected by the pandemic in the long term. His team studied more than 450 national universities across a number of variables designed to determine both the value the universities provide and how vulnerable they are to the possible economic impact of the pandemic. I'm happy to report that their work confirmed what we already know, that Clemson entered this pandemic incredibly strong and that we are well positioned to emerge from this very strong. In fact, we were one of just 88 universities out of the 450 who are projected to thrive beyond the pandemic. In fact, we were positioned at the very top of the chart, along with a few other pretty good schools such as Harvard, Cornell, Michigan, and Northwestern. I'd like to share with you a few non-COVID highlights from the past few months. Despite the challenge of COVID-19 pandemic, we still finished the year very strong, meeting or exceeding many of our goals. I'm proud that our students continue to achieve great things. This year, we had a record 57 students who received national scholarships or fellowships. That included 3 Goldwater Scholars, 6 Fulbright recipients, and 7 National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowships. I'm also proud that our student athletes continue to succeed in the classroom, with 8 teams posting a perfect 1,000 APR, academic performance rating score. 4 of our teams, football, women's golf, men's cross country, and baseball, earned NCAA academic public recognition awards, putting them in the top 10% of schools in academic success and retention. The football team set a new APR record of 992, ranking them 3rd in the nation among Division I football programs for academic success. And the graduation rate of our student athletes remains very high at 91%. We continue to build on the great work being done regarding inclusive excellence. I directed the formation of a task force to build upon the foundation work, which has already been completed, by pulling together various university stakeholders and centralizing their efforts and processes. The President's Social Task Force and Equity Task Force, led by Chief Diversity Officer Lee Gill and Provost Bob Jones, is designed to ensure the involvement of students, faculty, and staff and community members. Their important discussions are ongoing, and I look forward to the great work that will be accomplished by this dedicated and robust team. Our research enterprise continues to grow, and our total research expenditures increased again this year to an all-time high of $219 million based on the incredible work of our faculty. Research proposals this year were more than 734 million, the highest they have ever been, which is truly amazing based on the current situation. Our faculty also submitted more than $15 million in research proposals for COVID-related projects. So far, 7 of those projects have been funded, and more should be awarded in the future. I'm proud of our faculty and the work that they are doing to find solutions to the many challenges that we are currently facing related to the pandemic, such as testing, PPE, and even repairing damaged lung tissue of patients who've had COVID-19. That is exactly what Mr. Clemson envisioned when he created our great university. As a land-grant university, he challenged us to find ways to tackle the biggest problems facing society, and we are doing just that. Our students are also involved in COVID-related projects with the Clemson COVID Challenge, which is a summer creative inquiry project that allowed students to identify problems related to COVID and to pitch their ideas and solutions. More than 400 students participated, and 82 teams pitched their ideas to a panel of judges. I'm proud of our students for stepping up to this challenge. I'm also proud that our faculty continue to receive national recognition for their work. We had 9 faculty members receive early career awards from the National Science Foundation or other national organizations. I want to point out just a few. Dr. Drew Lanham, Alumni Distinguished Professor of Wildlife Ecology, had his memoir selected by the Chronicle for Higher Education as one of the best scholarly books of the past decade. Dr. Stephen Kresovich, Director of the Advanced Science Plant Technology Program, was appointed by the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue, to the National Genetic Resources Advisory Council. He's one of only 6 scientists nationwide to serve on that council. At the heart of our university is our land-grant mission, and as always, our PSA team stepped up to help across the state when times are tough. Our extension team has continued to provide statewide programs to assist the agriculture industry using technology such as Google Mapping and virtual instruction to provide farmers with resources. Our teams are also working hard to monitor pests and diseases that affect the agriculture industry, such as the Asian longhorn beetles, and the avian influenza, and the equine encephalitis. Of course, in order for Clemson to be successful in our 3 main areas of our mission areas, education, research, and service, we need private support. And I'm proud to share that we exceeded our private fundraising goals for this year with a total of more than $158 million raised. That is the 4th consecutive year we've raised more than $150 million. And I'm thankful to all of those donors who have supported us so generously. Private support is more important now than ever before due to these uncertain times, and I'm grateful that all of our donors have invested in our university. The Clemson family remains strong and working together. We will absolutely emerge strong from this crisis, and it's been wonderful to see so many people pulling together for the safe reopening of our campus. Human Resources has been working on a number of initiatives to get our faculty and staff back safely to the campus, including helping us set up sites for employees to get tested for COVID, developing return to workplace training, and developing new procedures to make remote work more efficient and easier. Our team in university relations has been working to communicate important information about the reopening to our students, faculty, and staff, parents, and alumni. They've also created a campaign named Healthy Clemson, United as Tigers, to promote the social compact for everyone to do their part to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, such as wearing masks, maintaining social distance, and washing your hands. I'm proud of the progress we've made this year despite the very unique challenges that we have faced, and I am confident, fully confident, that we will continue to succeed at the highest levels as we navigate through these difficult times. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I congratulate you and your leadership team for the outstanding year that the university has enjoyed, certainly before and through the the COVID epidemic. And I really appreciate the heavy lifting that has transpired by the leadership team in the financial side of the house, the academic side of the house, the entire university, and most especially the faculty. But you know, when you have tough times like these, you really see how good you are. And I think the university is doing an outstanding job. Thanks to you and your team. And we're excited about wrapping up this year in a good state and look forward to next year.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We all know the university has decided to delay moving in for housing due to COVID-19 concerns, and we're going to start our academic programs via online. This was announced 2 days ago. Provost Jones and Tony Wagner are going to give us more detail about these plans. So, Provost Jones, I turn the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to ask Doug to please load the slides. I see he's multitasking for us right now as we speak. And while we're getting the slides up, we're going to kick off with Chip Hood. And among his amazing talents and experiences are included bioengineering and epidemiology. So he's going to give us a little preview of where we are with this disease and how we're measuring it, what it means, and the challenges that we have. So, Chip, take it away.
Thank you, Provost Jones. I appreciate my colleagues drafting me into this last night. So I'll be very, very thankful for y'all, and you'll get a really nice present from me for that. But let's go ahead, and Doug, if you can get started and go to the next slide. So as we work through how are we going to return to campus in the fall, we used some guiding principles, and we started with the health and safety of our students and workforce. We also were committed to delivering quality academic content. And with the way the pandemic was changing, we knew we had to be adaptable, be able to change to the severity of the pandemic. Next slide. It's important to understand a few things about COVID-19 because that's what's driving the decisions that we're making. It's a new disease. There's still a lot of uncertainty about this disease. Our knowledge of it's less than a year old. Our understanding evolves daily. There's a lot of variability with the severity of the symptoms, and folks still aren't completely understanding why some folks get really sick and some folks don't. That uncertainty makes prediction and planning more difficult because you have to be prepared for the more significant impacts that this pandemic can have. Next slide. We do know that age is a factor in the severity of the symptoms. And we have to look at two populations when we're thinking about our campus and our university and how can we safely reopen. The student population is typically younger, but our workforce is older, and there are interactions between those groups. The younger folks typically have milder symptoms. Many are what they call asymptomatic, so they may not even know that they have the disease, that they've been infected. They may not show up for testing, but they can still be very infective, these asymptomatic folks. It's important to note that in the past week or so, we've started to see more information, new data coming out, including something from University of California, San Francisco, that shows that student age populations have some underlying factors which can make them have more than just those mild symptoms. For instance, smoking can be a big risk factor. So we've got to continue to factor that in. Our older population, our workforce is certainly more vulnerable, but even our students can have some significant issues. Next slide. Here's a real quick graph. It'll show you the distribution of symptoms by age. It's a small data set, but it does a nice example of illustrating. You'll see the bar graph on the left side. The blue is the under 60-year folks, and the red is the over 60 years old. And you'll see both groups generally are going to have some sort of symptoms. Again, people may have some sniffles and may not know, but some folks end up with a fever in bed for 3 or 4 days. Some folks end up with a high fever and flu-like symptoms, and they're not able to work. They're not able to get up and go to class. Somebody needs